Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Welcome to another edition. We call this, it's just Tuesday edition of the Shout Out Show. We hope everybody's in your groove. You had a good day. Things went according to your schedule. If they didn't go according to your schedule, inshallah, you had some wiggle room, if you will, to adapt and change it and make whatever it is a good day, a great day, a bad day, a better day. That's what we're all about this day. And our subject matter, we'll be dealing with that, brothers and sisters, talking about the long days of summer. A lot of times, brothers and sisters, when we think about summers, it's interesting because I've forgotten that summers really mark benchmarks in our life. Let me say it again. Summers mark benchmarks in our lives. We have so many traditions that are wrapped around summers. We forget the times that our parents would take off a month or a month and a half just to be able to go visit relatives, to go down south in my case, or to go overseas, the great vacations that you had. You know, I'm not saying that the world is in a rush or in a hurry, but sometimes we do overlook those simple things. The walks in the park, the 4th of July holidays, things like that. And I want to even say sometimes just the cookouts. The cookouts, brothers and sisters. Things that you can't do any other time except during the summer. Like you can have a summer cookout in November if you live in a warm place, but it's not going to be as good as when it's during the summer. I still sometimes trying to figure out what is so special about the summer. Could it be that as kids we would get out of school? Could it be that the weather was warm and allowed us to have all this time outside? You know, brothers and sisters, as a comedian, let me give you guys a little information. One of the worst periods to be a comedian was during the summer. When you would do shows at 7:30 or sometimes even 8:30, the sun would be up. And you used to sit by a comedy club along with the comedy club owner and manager, hoping people would meander into the club and you have enough people to do a show. Now, the reason people didn't want to come in because people like sunshine. People like heat. There's something that is organic about sweating a little bit. Having the sun on your skin when you come into the house, it's still warm. And the other aspect about summer is things have a transitional shift. While we say that school is closed, the opportunities for creativity and engagement for children is off the roof. We had, brothers and sisters, back in the day, these collective of kids in our neighborhoods and being able to connect on that way. Being out in the street, hanging out with your friends when you were in elementary school and junior high school, that was your job. It was literally your job. And I say this with the utmost respect to our parents, to our mothers and fathers who had to go to work. We were really happy that you went to work because it allowed us, in your absence, to act like adults, to cook when we wanted to stay on the phone as long as we wanted to. I think summertime was really a rehearsal for grown-up time. And some of the best times you would ever have is when your parents would come in the house. Your father would come home from work and he wouldn't come in with the tie and a suit. His tie would be pulled down here and his shirt, his jacket would be over. And he came in and kicked off his shoes. Or you watched him talk with the neighbor down the street. And summertime was cool because you didn't have to worry about being cold or windy or anything like that. It was the perfect conditions to have community. Today on the Shout Out Show, I want to talk about some of our summertime memories. You know, at my age right now, I look at summertime differently. And we began to start counting down the amount of summers that we're going to have. When you're younger, you don't think about summertime. All you want to do is, when school is over, I can't wait to get back to summertime again. And even the scope of education, brothers and sisters, even when the summer came, it was interesting because it was the summer that helped mature our thinking. It helped mature our understanding of opportunity, also responsibility. It was during the summertime that I learned how to be a business person. When I say a business person, trying to figure out how to generate revenue without having to ask my parents, that was a big deal. You didn't want to ask your mom and dad for money. You wanted to have your own money. And wanting to have your own money led to you innovating and having creative ideas about how to get from point A to point B. And we miss that a little bit. I feel bad for some of the kids these days because sometimes summertime means when mom and dad are gone, I can play this video game for hours and hours and hours and hours on end. Not working on social skills, not working on being an entrepreneur, not working on engagement, just playing games. Well, I grew up in an era where they really weren't into video games. And if you wanted to go to the video game, you had to go to Jim Liquors on Route 450 in Atlanta, Maryland, and they had a Miss Pac-Man machine. And you had to bring money, and you had to buy something to drink, and you had to get a roll call, and you would play that game all day long. I'm going to talk a little bit about summer. I hope you guys are ready for it because it's here. It's Preacher Moss Shout Out Show. Let's get it started. And we're back, brothers and sisters. Listen, I want to give a quick footnote. Let me apologize. I set the show up late today, and the reason I set it up late today is I had an emergency dental appointment. Your boy broke his crown. Note to black men over the age of 50: do not eat M&Ms early in the morning, because that's what happened. I was like, this peanut looked like a tooth, and it was my tooth, and I had to go get the bad news. New crown, root canal. I was like, man, I want to just take all my teeth. And big shout out to Dr. Z, my main man, my dentist. Thank you for fitting me in. I appreciate you. Also, want to make sure we give a special note to Sister Lorraine Kitchen. Let's make dua and keep her in our duas, brothers and sisters. She is the wife of my big brother, Reginald Kitchen. She needs some tender loving care and dua. Make sure we do that. And shout out to my cousin Kendrick, recovering. Hopefully those kidneys get roaring again, brother. But we have you in our duas, as I told you as well. So, like I said, I apologize for setting up the show late. It normally doesn't happen, but it also coincided with the conversation I got into. I hadn't intended to. It was a business conversation, but it still doesn't mean I shouldn't have set it up. Let's just be there. I'm not giving myself an excuse. I'm just letting you guys know I am human. That's all. So if you're coming on the show for the first time, simple advice. I'm gonna give advice, not necessarily guidance, just advice. If you feel like you have something to say, get in the comment section, express yourself. There are no real rules of engagement or barriers to you being called a part of a community. And I've taken that watching other people. This is not my own innovation. I watch other people create less barriers for folks to be able to come on and say what they need to say and speak their heart, because this is what this platform is for. While I talk about being the host of the show, I'm just a host. And let me even explain what the host means. The host means that we have a prescription for a show. But the job is to initiate a certain amount of conversation and get out of the way, because the people who are viewing the show have 9 times out of 10 much better ideas, much more nuanced ideas than you actually do. Because who actually wants to just listen to, I don't want to listen to myself for a whole 25, 35 minutes. I don't. The idea is that I am, for lack of a better word, inspired by the people that come on the show. There'll come a time with the Shout Out Show where maybe the format changes. We have so much content, all praise due to Allah, that maybe we go to a subscription model. And that the people who want to see the show, now they have to have a subscription. Now, this will not go for any of the Shout Out Show family. You will have your free subscription. I'm just telling you that now. If you've ever been on a Shout Out Show once or twice, you are more encouraged to come out. But my point is, brothers and sisters, I don't want to have any kind of constriction or a restriction for people to come and speak on the show. That part of the format wouldn't change. and it's very organic. And I want to make sure that I explain to people why I say it's organic. It also comes to the fact that there's a chain of command. It doesn't come out anywhere. The Shout Out Show is really an amalgamation of conversations I used to see guys on the corner have. My grandfather, my father, my uncle, watching them engage people on a number of topics. A number of topics. It could be current events, it could be neighborhood happenings, it could be religion, and being able to have an opportunity to say that with I don't like the actual term audience. With my team, with my community is interesting because that is the rubric for the quality of a community. The rubric for good quality of community is that community is informed about what? Its own community. So you'll see me talk to people on the show sometimes, the Al Jarreau treatment. And I do not begrudge doing the Al Jarreau treatment. When I first saw Al Jarreau take a show that was supposed to be an hour and turn into a 2 hour show because he stopped to speak to everybody, I forgot that he stopped to speak to everybody, but those people are engaged and he saw value in those people. And so when I do it, I just want you to know that I do feel value for the people that I'm talking to. It's not doing a show, brothers and sisters, it's understanding more so than myself as a host that the people who come on the show provide me a service. I'm formally providing them a service because it's reflective, but they provide me a service. So, that being said, let me make sure I get into our stars in the building. We have a little time. Sister Reed is in the building. I'm going to be a spoiler alert. Sister Reed's birthday is tomorrow, brothers and sisters. Sister Reed's birthday is tomorrow, and alhamdulillah, she'll be 21 and able to. She's like, I'm 21, my son is 25. I'm just kidding, Sister Reed. We're here to celebrate you in the way that you should be celebrated. Life, brothers and sisters, is not a guarantee and not to be taken for granted. So we want to make sure that we celebrate your natural born day. Next up, we got my man Altaf Rashid. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother. I'm going to throw something out at you about our subject matter today, because I always wonder if summer is different, if the climate is different. I'm going to ask you that question. And of course, as always, we appreciate you coming on the show, always on time. Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. We appreciate you, brother. And for those of you who don't know, he is the official ambassador, Canadian ambassador to the Shout Out Show. All right. Next up, we got my little brother, JT, better known as Johnny L. Thomas. JT and I had the pleasure of, a lot of y'all don't know, but when I lived in Milwaukee and I went back to teach after a couple of years of teaching, he and I actually we shared an apartment together. And it was so funny. We shared an apartment together a couple years. And it was funny because we actually did some Milwaukee summers together. Believe it or not. We did some Milwaukee summers together. And some of those Milwaukee summers, of course, they revolve around sitting around. But there were things in Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a city of festivals. So in Milwaukee, summer meant festivals. They actually have a festival called Summer Fest. And they would have different ethnic festivals. They had Afro Fest. They have Polish Fest. They have Italian Fest. They have all these festivals. In fact, this year, Summerfest is they renovated the big theater, and actually going to have Dave Chappelle there performing. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. So think about that. So and we have Sister Satana Whitfield, who is our consultant producer. Now here's something for Sister Satana, because Sister Satana is in the New Jersey area. I almost say Newark. I always say Newark every time I think of Sister Satana. I don't know why. She's turned her face up at Newark. Proximity during the summertime is a really big deal. Like proximity, like people living close to each other in the summertime. Like one of my favorite films is Do the Right Thing. This is why I love Do the Right Thing. Do the Right Thing is essentially shot during the summer, during one of the hottest times in New York at this particular time. You guys know how Do the Right Thing turned out, but up until the riot scene, Do the Right Thing really epitomized Black summers. It epitomized Black summers where education, even education, not education, I'm sorry, employment are revolved around the community. You found work in the community, if that makes sense. Like up until I was old enough to push a lawnmower, um, we found things to do. We found pickup work. And once you were able to push a lawnmower, there was competition between the kids and between other kids and myself. But that competition underlied that there was an economy, if you will, a revenue base in your community on the block. You could mow in a week 10 lawns and make $250 to $300. And that $250 to $300 was probably the most important money I ever made because it came from this idea that, hey, I have an idea, I have a concept. You know, you guys heard me talk about when I had my little lawn care business. In my lawn care business, this is what made it different. It wasn't that I cut grass, okay? Everybody cuts grass. It was the fact that my mother sat me down and said, "What's your plan?" My dad was like, "What's your plan? You're gonna cut grass. What's your plan?" And the thing that I always remember is that I took a piece of paper and I drew a lawnmower on it with the wheels, da da da, and I put Moss Lawn Care ink, even though I didn't know what ink was. Moss Lawn Care ink, um, competitive prices, and I put the phone number. Of course, it's my family's home phone, but I put it down. And my mother did something really important. She took the flyer that I made and she took it to work. And this is when photocopying machines are pretty nice. Right? They're relatively new. That's how old I am. And she ran the photocopies and bought me like 50 or 60 of them. And I remember taking those things and walking my neighborhood, the neighborhood before, the next door, next door, next door. And I remember putting them in people's doors. And that was, I literally want to say that was the upgrade. Rick Schlaffer, who was on our cryptocurrency guru, who I fired. I'm lying. I'm joking. I lost all my money with Rick. I'm like Red Fox. I'll crypto you 5 across your lip. But it was interesting because the opportunity to have innovation, it really comes during the summer. I believe some of the biggest things in my life happen during the summer. School is school. You know, the fall is fall. But when you have that opportunity, that cognitive surplus that we always talk about, to sit up and come up with a concept, if you will, that can generate revenue, that can give you money that is not generational, but it gives you mobility. The ability to take a certain amount of money, now I have money to take a bus and visit different places and go to different. This is before you had cars. Or I can buy pop. I can get on my bike. I can do, and this is, when we start thinking about summer, it's like, this is an amazing thing. Like, what are your summer memories? I haven't even gotten to summer memories about just being able to go on vacation. The idea that your parents would load up a car, an automobile, gas it up, and go to a destination. And when you got to that destination, the people at that destination, they were waiting on you with anticipation. And it was joining together. And, this is the day back in the day, you didn't stay like a weekend or two, you stay a whole week with your parents. You would stay a whole week. Satana's talking about summer camp. Yeah, I remember summer camp because my mom and they'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? You want to go to summer camp?" They go, I'd be like, "No." They're like, "Okay, you leaving tomorrow, huh?" In fact, my first summer camp, it was outside of Baltimore. I can't, and it's a horrific camp. I won't get into it. I talked about it. Bad experience. but I lost the key to my Foot Locker, and I didn't want to tell my parents that I lost the key to my Foot Locker. And so what I did was the group of clothes that I had in the bag, I just kept recycling them over and over. You're young though, you know what I'm saying? You're young. Plus, it had a lot to do with the leadership at that camp. So, but I remember a kid going, "Oh, I can open your locker." And he took like a butter knife and just turned the joint open and opened it, and there was my stuff. But the idea of meeting different kids, man. Summertime, because summer actually started yesterday, just so you guys know. And I also want to give a shout out to brother Leon Alexander and brother Taurus Mateen and my band. Belated Happy Father's Day to you guys. Um, Summertime allowed you to be, in some regards, de facto adults. And I alluded to that earlier. You were de facto adults. You knew when your parents were working from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or whatever. And you, in some regards, you would think that you would lose your mind because your parents aren't there. Ironically, that's where you learn a lot of responsibility. What about you, Satan? Let's bring Satan in. What about you, Satan? You got to take that mute off.
Assalamualaikum.
Welcome to it, but I'm talking about summertime, and I made the point where I said summertime for me is sort of like you kind of de facto learn to be like adults. Like
Sure. This whole term of latchkey kid.
yeah,
You
I was
remember that? Yeah. So it was like, yeah. So then during that time, that space when you were in school, during the school year, it's like, okay, the parents are like, okay, what am I going to do with you during the summer? And so you're right. So you're like, okay, this is okay. Leave you with the set of instructions. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. But it's like, yeah, and and take the chicken out the freezer. So
oh
do all
yeah,
this,
yeah.
do
Oh,
all this stuff.
thank God for the microwave back when I
Right,
was growing up.
right. So yeah, so it did allow you to do that, but it's like, of course, some of the rules were bent. Sorry,
Oh yeah,
mom and dad, if you're watching,
I've
some
been
of
a
the
lot of
rules were
rules.
bent. Some of the rules were bent.
I
You
think the
know.
thing is the anticipation of summer, like
Mm,
when you start elementary school.
mm,
By the time you got to the 6th grade, you realize that your opportunity cost for how you spend your summer it starts changing. The close
mm,
move to like 16, like
yeah.
you just couldn't be just sitting around the house all day. At 15, you were working. I mean, I had a mandate
Yeah.
in my house.
Hmm.
They didn't tell me you had to work, but they had expectations that you were going to have creative use of your time. And if
Hmm.
you made some dollars, that was good. But I remember you couldn't leave the house. If you were in the house, that house had to be clean.
It
Parents
had to
couldn't
be
come home
clean.
to a dirty house.
You couldn't sleep all day.
Couldn't sleep all day.
There's some things you may have to go and help out a neighbor or something. So Altaf has a comment here. He said, I used to remember the 8 or 9 hour drive down to New York City to visit family. In the summer, great seeing the family, but AC was not popular thing down there. It is not. And it depends on what part
Not
of
in
New
New York
York you're
City.
in. You're
Not in
absolutely
New
right.
York City.
But that is New York City, right? That is absolutely New York City, not having an AC and like opening the window and having that hot air come in and hot cool air come in. But
But
that's just part of it.
that was my mention about do the right thing. When you
Yes,
watch Do the Right Thing,
yes.
you feel that heat.
You feel the heat. You feel the heat.
You
Yeah.
that's the truth, Ruth. You felt the heat, man. And we would go down south. So I was always guaranteed at least 2 weeks down south, 2 to 3 weeks down south.
Mm,
With
mm.
my cousin Earl, all my cousins were down there. And you would go to visit with them. And at some point in time, you stay long enough and then you just become part of the family.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
would have these delusions like, oh, I could just stay here forever. And the reason you felt that because you didn't have to go to school.
Right, right. I think here's a comment from your mom. Um, had great fun in the summer and community before summer camps for blacks.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was that though.
Yeah.
There was something majestic about the long ride, like a
Uh-huh.
long drive. Like people don't appreciate the long drive. I got a shout out for Miss Eleanor and Mama. How you doing, Miss Eleanor? Hope all
Miss
is well.
Eleanor.
Miss Eleanor can tell you, but the long
Yeah.
drive is the funny. This is the funny part about the summer, and we also give a wa alaikum assalam for Tula the sister Ike who's tuned in from Indonesia. Thank
Okay.
you for coming on. There was something about when I say the long ride, and I've qualified this. I think I did it on the show. There's something that says you're gonna there's um there's a getaway and then there's a vacation.
Hmm.
No, there's an outing and then there's a vacation. An outing means you don't have to change your clothes. You will be back sometime that night. A vacation meant that you had to pack. You had to strategically pack. Um,
Yeah.
you had you had to be like, okay, when I'm down there, I remember my mother packing myself as a kid. You down here, you got this amount of socks. They would say things. If it rains, here's your raincoat. They plan for you all the time when you're going to be down south. But I think, and this is what's missing. And I know it's just during the pandemic that people relegated themselves to just staying in the house even when they could go outside to get fresh air.
I think this is the second summer, and I think that a lot of people are like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of the house.
It was the same
Um,
thing, but I mean, we still
yeah.
found I was still able to go run during the pandemic. I wasn't going to be up on top of people, of
Mm,
course,
mm,
um, but I found these spaces where it was like, yo, I could still engage summer. I'm not going to say fully enjoy it.
mm. Yeah,
We know what it was, but you're still able to engage. Some of this something that there's a positive spiritual aesthetic to sunshine.
for
You know,
sure.
for sunshine.
Healing, medicinal, everything. Yeah, absolutely,
I mean, we showed that
absolutely.
clip way back about Richard Pryor talking about put some sunshine on your face. I believe that.
Yeah,
Putting some
yeah,
sunshine on your face. That is
yeah.
metaphorical, but I'm like, yo, nothing beats sunshine and
That,
plenty of it.
that natural vitamin D for sure. Absolutely.
I,
And
hon- I honestly felt, and I could be wrong, some of the COVID rates might have been lower if people got vitamin D, if they got the vitamin D. Everybody,
possibly. So,
what's
Sister Bree, yes, and early birthday greetings to you. She said, yeah, tomorrow is the big day. She's traveling. Um, so, okay, the signal's weak, but y'all looking good. Thank you so much, Sister Ree. But if we don't get to you tomorrow, but we will, I'm sure. But early birthday greetings to you. Happy 21st.
absolutely. So Sister Ree won't be on the broadcast tomorrow. She celebrated that birthday early. Rita only one I know celebrated birthday early, 2 days early.
So I'll talk was when I was in elementary school, my summer always started day after the last day of school for me. For some reason, um, me and my friends decided to help the teachers empty the classroom. Oh wow, yeah.
I never
Okay,
did that. I'm out of here.
get
I'll
on
be
here.
knocking over
Get on
chairs.
your top.
I'd knock over chairs. Yeah, here's some glue on the desk. Yeah,
Tear some off the
I'm out
wall.
of here.
That was mighty fine of you, Altaf. Um,
Okay, let me be honest. Let me be honest. We were we would show our tails. We were wild out. Um, like we were wild out for every grade except when we got the Miss Jones class. Miss Alvita Jones, my
Miss
sixth grade.
Alveda Jones.
Boy, you'd have thought it was a funeral up in that joint when we left.
I feel like I've known Miss Alveda Jones, and the amount of time that you've talked about her on this show, I really feel like I knew her
Like
growing up.
you would hear kids enjoying us having parties in the other room. We'd be like, she had a party for us one time. I said, this feel like a seance for the classroom. The dead of last year speaking
Oh
to.
my gosh. Sister Risa,
No,
she's gonna be celebrating all month long. Go ahead.
anyway, she living it up. She's 21.
Hey, I'll talk. I have a question. So then, and you brought up a good question because I thought that here it's like summertime is the sun is out. It's actually the warm weather. But in Canada, do you get is it summertime? Your summer break is it what's the
Warm.
weather like? Yeah, is it warm? Is it
Or is it
cold?
like
Is it
it's
snowing?
like a middle break? It's
It's a
summertime like a
okay,
middle break is what I want to ask. It's like in
right.
Milwaukee, they say in Milwaukee, if you don't like the
Mm-hmm.
weather, wait 5 minutes, it'll change. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, Milwaukee weather would change. Like the hottest it might get is like in the 80s, but
Right,
then you
right.
might have where it just drops off.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Same thing was like all that all around the Great Lakes area. That was the weather the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, and I guess it's something to speak on just on the mental aspect. Um, because summertime is not it's not a holiday. It's a period of time where you're just not going to be in
Right,
school. And
right.
people plan around, people plan around this holiday. I'm like, yo, I get it. Like I respect that aspect of it. Because we talk about Christmas and Thanksgiving and things like that. I think the biggest period of time it has to be summer because it's just so much
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
It's just so much of it.
So
I mean,
as a teacher, what did you do during like how was that summer break for you all as teachers? So we talked about it from the kids' perspective, but like I mean, did you all like
from the
run
teacher
wild too?
perspective, okay, this is funny. Now this is funny. For a teacher, your how your summer went depended on how you did your payment plan. Did you do it for 10 months or did you do it for 12 months?
Right, that's for sure.
Because I did
Yeah,
it first
yeah.
year teacher, I did it for 10 months. And I was like, wait, ain't no more checks. I was like Daffy Duck and Elmer Foot, that was me. Of course, when I did it for 12 months and they spread my payout over 12 months, it was
Mhm.
lovely because you would literally just like your checks
Yeah,
would show up at the bank and you could do whatever you wanted to. That was a beautiful thing about teaching. But actually, there's a thing in teaching when classes end, sort of actually piggyback a little bit off of what Alta was saying.
mm,
There's a disconnect period in terms
yeah.
of dealing with your students, but also your students dealing with adult authority. Because it's
Mm,
two pieces of adult authority that's going on outside of summer. One is your parents, one is your educators. And so you have to disconnect the both of them. Well, one
mhm.
you disconnect from, the other one you have to readjust because
Right.
while you're not in school anymore, there's still a protocol that you're going to follow that allows you to be at home by yourself. Number
Hmm.
one. Two is to make sure that you pay attention to allowances that your parents give you. And I think that's a big thing
Yeah, too.
that your parents gave you allowances during the summer.
Yeah. So Alto's response was school ends the last week of June. So for kids, summer starts Friday, and the weather is warm. Okay. Got it.
Okay.
All right, cool. Yeah,
I'm not mad.
yeah, it
I've done,
was
I've done Muslim Fest up there end of the summer. It's been like, it was warm during the day, it was cold at night.
oh, okay. Yeah, and it's really interesting because kids, I guess, on this side of the coast are just getting out. I think probably further west they're probably out already,
Mhm.
and south they're probably out already. But we're just like I think today was kind of or this week is like the last week of school for kids. But then again, we don't go back until late after Labor Day anyway. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, yeah. So cool. All right, that was a cool chat. I, I'm just wishing a happy summer for everyone. I know summer was yesterday, so
The
happy
beginning of the
summer.
summer. I tell you what,
But,
I'll let you close out. I'll remove myself. Uh, we can thank our sponsors. Take care. I'm going to enjoy my
okay,
summer.
all right. Enjoy your summer, Preach. You see how he does. So yes, so thanks everyone for coming. We'd like to thank our sponsors, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, or call 888-496-6845. That's Maxine B. Cade, who is the owner and proprietor of Be Financially Independent. If you saw our show a couple of weeks ago, you saw her and she was amazingly awesome. So go back and take a look at that show. So again, it's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Or call her on 888-496-6845. Our other sponsor is Bayan Online, bayanonline.org. And so that is the Islamic Institute that Preacher just recently received his master's from. And so they or Islamic education. So if you're looking to get a master's in that area, contact bayanonline.org. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Have an enjoy the first day of summer. Of course, we'll be here for the summer, but definitely enjoy, and don't forget to take out the chicken out the freezer. All right, have a good one, and take us out.